Good morning. This is X-Pulse AI Morning Mix. Today is Saturday, July 18th, 2026. We've got OpenAI's first hardware device taking shape, a massive open-weight model from Moonshot, and a scramble for compute and chips across the industry. I've got Orion with me, ready to jump in.
Ready, let's do it.
The Neuron reported on July 16th that OpenAI's first consumer hardware product is taking shape, described as a screenless smart speaker that can move and feel alive. Orion, what are we hearing?
The reporting suggests OpenAI is building a physical companion-style device, more like an embodied assistant than a phone app. Details are still preliminary, but the direction is clear. Ambient voice, no screen to compete with your attention, and some mobility to create presence.
If it's real, what's the bet? Why a moving speaker?
It's a bet on always available interaction. A device can run tighter wake word, mic array, and latency controls, and it can anchor identity and privacy settings locally. Also, a screenless format avoids the compete with iPhone trap while still owning the interface to the model.
So a Roomba with opinions?
Basically, but hopefully with better judgment and fewer crumbs.
Gizmodo reported on July 17th that China's Moonshot is debuting Kimi K3, a 2.8 trillion parameter model, and the company says it'll be open weight. Orion, how big is this?
2.8 trillion is enormous by headline scale, and open weight is the bigger strategic signal. If weights truly ship broadly, developers can host, fine-tune, and audit behavior more directly, while competitors have to answer why their best models stay behind an application programming interface.
Do you buy the benchmark hype?
Benchmarks can be optimized and don't equal real-world reliability, but they do predict developer attention. The bigger consequence is ecosystem. Open weights attract toolmakers, fine-tuners, and academic testing, so even if it's imperfect, it can accelerate fast.
What should people watch for in the release?
License terms, hardware requirements, and whether open weight means full checkpoints or a constrained distribution. Those details determine if it's a curiosity or a genuine alternative stack.
Gizmodo and the Neuron reported on July 17th that Apple has escalated legal action over alleged trade secret issues involving people and resources tied to OpenAI. What's the latest shape of this story?
The reporting says this has moved beyond a typical talent poaching dispute into formal legal steps, implying Apple believes specific confidential information was taken or used. Details are still emerging, but escalation usually means claims are getting more concrete, not less.
How disruptive can this get for product roadmaps?
Even without a verdict, it can slow collaboration, tighten employee movement, and force internal audits. And if injunctions get sought, it can complicate shipping timelines, especially where overlapping assistant features, on-device processing, or hardware-adjacent plans are involved.
Does this signal anything broader in the market?
Yes, AI advantage is increasingly treated like semiconductor intellectual property, litigated, locked down, and defended aggressively. The courtroom is becoming part of the competitive moat.
CNBC reported on July 17th that Anthropic is in early talks with Meta to secure additional compute capacity, weeks after a separate agreement to use SpaceX's Colossus One data center. Orion, what's driving this?
It's the same constraint we keep seeing. Access to chips, power, and data center infrastructure is the real bottleneck for frontier models. Anthropic wants enough capacity to train and serve its most advanced models without being gated by supply.
Meta providing compute to a rival sounds spicy. How does that make sense?
Compute is increasingly a commodity asset class. If Meta has excess capacity or can monetize infrastructure efficiently, it can treat it like a platform business, while still competing at the model and product layer. Also, deals can be structured with guardrails on data and access.
What should listeners infer if this gets finalized?
That the market is normalizing compute diplomacy, even competitors trading infrastructure. And it reinforces that the winners won't just have better models, they'll have better supply chains.
Tom's Hardware reported on July 16th that Japan, with NVIDIA-backed Noetra, plans a 140-megawatt Rubin AI factory, 27,500 Rubin GPUs, and 13,750 Vera CPUs under a state-backed FRONTia program. Orion, that's massive.
It's a national-scale compute build-out. Think onshore capacity as strategic infrastructure. 140 megawatts is power plant-level thinking, and the component counts imply serious ambition, training, inference, and government and industry workloads all under domestic control.
Why does onshore matter so much here?
Latency, sovereignty, and reliability. If your economy depends on AI, you don't want your critical workloads waiting behind someone else's export controls, cloud capacity limits, or geopolitical friction. This is the compute equivalent of energy independence.
Does it change the global competitive map?
It can. Countries that stand up large, stable compute pools attract startups, researchers, and enterprise migration because experimentation stops being rationed.
From NVIDIA's newsroom on July 16th, NVIDIA and SK Hynix announced a multi-year partnership to co-develop next-generation memory for global AI factories tied to Vera Rubin systems, Vera CPUs, RTX Spark PCs, and Jetson Thor. Orion, why is memory the headline?
Because memory bandwidth and capacity are now the throttle. Faster GPUs don't help if the model is starved for data movement. Co-designing memory and packaging with the compute roadmap is how you unlock real-world performance, especially for large context and high-throughput inference.
They also mentioned using AI inside chip design and manufacturing. Hype or meaningful?
Meaningful. Using models to optimize layouts, test patterns, yield, and fab operations can shave months and improve yields. It's not magic, but in semiconductors, even small percentage gains are huge money and huge supply.
So the AI boom is now redesigning the factory that builds AI.
Exactly. It's recursion, but with purchase orders.
All right, a few more moves worth knowing. TechCrunch on July 17th flagged a $400 million chip-backed loan shifting financing toward inference chips, not just top-end GPUs. What's the signal there?
Inference is where usage explodes, and financiers like predictable cash flows. Specialized inference accelerators can be cheaper, cooler, and easier to deploy at scale, so lenders can underwrite real utilization instead of betting everything on scarce premium GPUs.
On regulation, Tom's Hardware on July 17th says Australia's new national AI framework requires data centers to produce as much power as they use. And Technology.org, also July 17th, mapped which EU AI Act pieces kick in August 2nd. What changes for companies?
Australia is pushing bring-your-own-power compute, energy, water, and IP conditions tied to build-outs. In the EU, August 2nd is a real compliance date for certain obligations, while other product categories transition later. If you sell into Europe, timelines matter now.
On the business side, the Los Angeles Times on July 17th detailed Gemini delays at Google. Fortune on July 17th says more AI build-out is being financed with debt as investor demand wanes. And PitchBook on July 17th found AI took over 60% of European VC deal value. Orion, what's the through line?
Execution pressure plus capital concentration. If releases slip, the spend looks harder to justify, so financing gets more expensive and investors funnel into fewer, obvious winners. That combination can starve smaller teams, even as overall AI funding headlines stay big.
A couple fast ones. The Hill on July 16th says Anthropic CEO Dario Amodei donated $1 million to an AI safety super PAC. Economic Times and Enterprise AI on July 17th says 93% of finance pros question AI insight reliability. What's the vibe?
Politics is escalating alongside trust gaps. As models spread into high-stakes workflows, skepticism rises, so governance and verification become differentiators. And the policy fight is attracting real money because the rules will shape who can ship what and where.
And rounding it out, Market Scale on July 16th says OpenAI, Anthropic, and Google are dangling multi-million-dollar compute credits to lure startups. Arab Founders on July 16th says Vercel acquired StackPack for autonomous DevOps. And PR Newswire on July 16th says formal AI strategies correlate with 3 times the measurable impact. Net?
Platforms are buying distribution with credits, developers want more automation to ship faster, and companies that operationalize strategy beat companies that collect pilots. Also, if someone offers you $3 million in credits, read the fine print twice.
That's XPulse AI Morning Mix from XPulse for Saturday, July 18th, 2026. If this helped, share it with a colleague who likes their AI news concise. See you next time.